Baba Is You is a puzzle game with different levels you complete using logic. The game gets progressively harder the more levels you manage to complete. Baba Is You is a game without a goal. Usually games will have a goal, like saving Princess Peach or having to defuse a bomb to save a city. Because Baba Is You have no goal to drive you further, this might make the game meaningless to someone, but it's still a fun game to play. When opening the game, you will first see the copyright page. After that, you can begin to play. Everyone starts with level 00, a level where they teach you how to control the character and how to interact with the artifacts around you. You also learn the first, most important rule of the game. Something must be you. If nothing is set as you, the player cannot move anything and the game will stop. You then get the choice to go back one move or to stop playing. The only other rule there is in this game is that the rules must be structured in a specific way. You must start the sentence with a colored word with a black background. The next word must be white with a black background, usually the word is, and the final word must be black and have a colored background. You can also make the sentence longer by adding another white word and then a black word again, but that is not used until you are further along in the game. Every rule in the game is decided by these word blocks, and all rules necessary to that level will always be visible on the screen. If you pause the game, you will also see all the rules in the pause menu. The purpose of the rules being visible on the screen is so that all rules can be changed. If the game doesn't want to allow you to change one specific rule, the rule will be up against the wall or the corner of the screen, making it impossible to move. But don't let that stop you from adding words onto the rule or using one word to form another rule. As you finish more levels, new game techniques are needed in order to progress further. This may be different ways to structure the rules, having to go straight to the solution when you start the level, so you can't try and fail, having to use different artifacts in the level in order to complete it, or having to switch back and forth between two or more characters to get the solution, for example Baba and Keke. Adding these new techniques to the game makes it more difficult, but also makes sure you keep playing, so that you can't finish the game in a day.
According to Espen Aarseth, a text is any object with the primary function to relay information. While Baba Is You's primary function might not be to relay verbal information, the text within Baba Is You has this function. It tells us the rules of the game and therefore how to progress. In Baba Is You, we could say that the blocks of words are the textons and the scriptons would be the rules created by combining these blocks or textons. The traversal function would then be the act of pushing the blocks of words around to change the rules and progress in the game. In order to describe the text, Aarseth uses 7 variables, the first being dynamics. In Baba Is You, the number of textons or blocks of words are constant, while the scriptons, or the rules which the blocks of words create, are changeable. The textons can be combined in many different ways, creating many possible scriptons or rules, making the text in the game an example of intertextonic dynamics. Aarseth's second variable is determinability. Aarseth defines a text as determinative if the adjacent scripton of every scripton is always the same, and this variable is meant to say something about to which extent the player may move through the text in different pathways. In Baba Is You, while the internal grammar of the texton is strict, the scriptons are not always in the same order, making the text indeterminable. The third variable is transiency. According to Aarseth, a text is transient if time passing causes scriptions to appear. This does not happen in Baba Is You. There is no time, and all scriptons are either already there or created by the player. Therefore, the text is intransient. The fourth variable is perspective. A text is personal if it requires the player to play a strategic role as a character in the world described by the text. In Baba Is You, you are Baba some of the time, but you are also rock, box, kiki, wall, or a variety of other objects throughout the game. Your perspective changes depending on what the puzzle demands of you to be solved, and Baba Is You can therefore be classified as an impersonal or impermanent text. The fifth variable, access, states that if all parts of the text is available to the player at all times, then the text is random access. If not, access is controlled. While on each level all scriptons are readily available, you are not able to access level 14, for example, without having solved a certain amount of the preceding levels. the access is controlled. The second to last variable is linking, and as Baba Is You has no links, this value would be set to none. The last variable is user function. Baba Is You could have both the explorative function or the configurative function. Explorative, as the player must choose which path to take, both in terms of solving the puzzle, as more than one solution is available in many of the levels, but also in terms of choosing which level to solve next or skip. And configurative, as the player is able to rearrange textons and create scriptons. As the latter is more prevalent in the game, Baba Is You perhaps fits best with configurative function.
The world of Baba Is You is not a very complicated one. The further you dig into it, the more it reveals. The aesthetic of the game is almost non-existing. You start out with a black background and walk away from there. The game actually starts that the object is floating down on the background and forming the level. This is something that helps the player to understand the minimalism of the game and also the way it's built up. That every object can become movable. Every object is a reusable one, something that is the theme of Baba Is You. Every level has a theme, and they use the objects that are introduced earlier to make out the level. Some objects are connected to an area, but that doesn't mean that the objects won't come back in another level. Every aesthetic choice fits into the tone of Baba Is You. Characters such as Baba and Keke are very cute and minimalistic, and the objects building the world are also very simple. They are drawn in a way that you can see what kind of object they are, but they are not filled with details. The world of Baba Is You is not important, and the look really delivers on this. Just as the objects, the world they build for each level, especially in the later ones, is just barely visible what they are. Take the level supermarket for instance. If the player was not told that this level was supposed to be a supermarket, it would have taken them a long time to get what it should be. In the beginning, it seems that the level is in the middle of the forest, but that is just the assets being reused. This level is used as a belt level to use a new feature. Belt is used as the aisles in a supermarket. The style of Baba Is You is done in such a way that the player can focus on the objects in the game and build their own world around. Take away the focus of the gameplay only if the player wants to do it.
At first non-critical glance, Baba Is You could easily be interpreted as having nothing to do with gender or identity. This is as video game as it gets. There's no obvious plot, all you do is complete levels based on the rules given to you. There is no gendered code here, as low rights of in RimWorld. Baba Is You as a game allows freedom of expression to solve the game's many problems in the way you figure out to be correct. Even the game's creator has forgotten many solutions, forced to come up with new creative ones during gameplay. The question is to whether or not Baba has a place in the discussion of gender in video games. My first reaction was one of dismissal. No, it's just a video game with clear set rules without any agenda, I thought. After further playing with this question in mind, it became clearer why that thought was what made Baba so special in this regard. This is a game of asexual characters, or asexed characters. Baba and Keke, or any of the other objects or characters given life by the U command, have been contextualized within the game's plot or story. Their context is reshaped and rewritten for each and every level based on the creator's intent with the puzzle. The level of player freedom really reinforces the statement made. Baba does not forbid you from doing anything. The only limit is your ability to solve these puzzles, and nothing else truly matters in the context of the game. The U command can literally take control of anything in the game, be it a wall, a flower, a bolt of lightning, Keke, Baba. One could say that this is a proponent of self-actualization in real life. Maybe people can choose to be whatever they want. Having a game not reinforce gender politics and stereotypes for once is refreshing, as most, if not all, mainstream AAA video games are made with a certain point of view. Baba Is You kind of proves that you can make a statement without actually saying anything. Sometimes a game can just be a game, a safe space where you can just be in the zone and not have to think about these real life problems and issues people face on a day-to-day basis. Studying Baba Is You from this point of view could serve as a guide on how to make a game without invoicing your point of view or your biases. I bet you could talk to many high-end game developers about their thoughts on how gender influences their game, and most of them would answer, it doesn't. While probably spoken without ill intent, this shows the ignorance of the modern gaming scene. Think to when Eiji Aonuma, the modern boss of the Legend of Zelda franchise, was asked as to why you could not play as a girl in The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. If we have Zelda be the main character who fights, then what is Link going to do? He said. This is obviously a solvable problem. And the biggest question would then be, why does it matter? Why does Link need to be a guy? Why does Link need to be a girl? One could hope that indies like Baba Is You end up having an influence on the big guys one day.